You're listening to Creating Great Grooming Dogs. I'm Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, a certified behavior consultant for canines, and a certified professional dog trainer. And this, my friends and colleagues, is the podcast where grooming and training meet. Let's talk a little bit about how some dogs will indicate that they're not ready, and that's different than a refusal. So I'm going to give you a human story to start with today. I was in high school, and I had this big splinter in the middle of my palm of my hand, and it was from the chicken barn, so it wasn't a particularly nice splinter. It was going to get infected if I didn't get it out, and I'm trying to pick it out with a pocket knife. Now, because I'm dumb, and I'm 15 and I've got a pocket knife, but I couldn't get it. It's in the middle of my right hand. I just didn't have the dexterity to get that out on my own. So I asked a friend, hey, can you help me get this splinter out? And he's looking at it and he's like, yeah, sure. And I go to put my hand in front of him and suddenly I'm like, ooh, not ready. Not ready. No, I can't. And we're laughing because it's ridiculous. I just asked him to. How can I not be ready? I've been sitting here picking at it myself. It's obviously not hurting me. It's obviously not super painful. What was the difference? What was the difference? Asking somebody else to do it and suddenly being such a sissy about it. So anyway, so I'm laughing. We're both laughing about it like, okay, so what do you do when you kind of get like that, your own personal self, right? So a couple deep breaths, loosen the shoulders, give him my hand again, and he gets ready, and I'm like, oh no, I can't. We're laughing. It was ridiculous. So calm myself down again. Deep breath, relax the shoulders a little bit. All right, put my palm out, and this time I was able to. So I want you to parallel that to stuff that we see in dogs. Not every wiggle means that they're refusing. Not every wiggle means that they aren't going to let us. Not every wiggle means that they aren't going to let us. Plenty of those wiggles are just, oh, I'm not ready. Okay? And I want you to think about how we can address that. So when we see that they're not ready, or when they start to wiggle, or maybe start to struggle, I want you to be thinking in terms of, okay, I'm going to back off a little and return to calm before stopping or continuing. And in another episode, we had talked about the 3 steps of calm, but I'll remind you here, which is to start with a dog who's calm, maintain calm as best you can, and return to calm if they start getting worried. We don't want to let go while a dog is freaked out. We don't want them to get freaked out. In a perfect world, it's about as interesting as watching paint dry, and the dog never becomes freaked out. Circling back to our episode about fear, because once they are freaked out, there's a chemical reaction in their body, and they just really, like, the heart rate increases. They start getting blood through the muscles. They start thinking about trying to get away or trying to fight back. We don't want any of that. We want to bypass all of that. So if they start getting wiggly, instead of thinking that they're absolutely refusing and that you need to get it done, or that you don't want to stress them out, because I see both extremes, I want you to think about, hey, I'm going to back off a little and help you calm down in my hands, and to be relaxed in my hands. So when a dog indicates that they're not ready and we try to push them through it, what we're often doing is increasing the fear and increasing the amount of fighting that a dog will do. So, for instance, the same example with my friend, if he had just grabbed my arm and said, you're being such a goofball, of course I'm just going to just hold still, right? We would have had a brawl. I would not have put up with that. Like, hey, I said I'm not ready. Back off, right? And many of our dogs do that. We try to push and they're like, oh yeah? And I want you to remember that there are a lot of dogs out there that enjoy a good wrestle and enjoy a good fight. That to them isn't a punishment, right? It's not going to lessen. It's not going to diminish the behavior that you're seeing. If they're fighting and struggling and you're making it worse by struggling with them and nobody's getting calmer, they're fine getting amped up. And that's where a lot of people, say terriers can be so hard. I don't find terriers to be hard because I don't allow the big struggle to even start to build, right? I can parallel with that too. As somebody who likes to roughhouse, I don't mind good roughhousing. That's okay by me. That wouldn't be something that makes me think, oh, I don't want that to happen again. Right? So when they indicate that they're not ready and we try to push them through it, a dog who's fearful is going to become more fearful. A dog who's pushy and upset is going to become more upset. When we have a dog that doesn't all stop and we quit trying, because that happens a lot too. I see that a lot with training programs. It's usually a trainer's approach where they're like, oh, we don't want to stress him out. But maybe the dog wasn't refusing. The dog was just saying they aren't yet ready. And when we quit trying, what we're really doing is kind of saying, okay, you don't need to be ready. And we're going to wait and we're not going to do it. Now, I know that that kind of comes from zoos and it comes from teaching vet behaviors that only happen once a year or once every couple of years. But grooming happens pretty often. And a lot of the behaviors that we need for grooming are things that they actually have happen at home. I want my owners to be able to brush their dogs. I want them to be able to check a toe. I want them to be able to wipe the dog's bum and stuff and wipe their feet when they come out from the snow or the mud. A lot of those things are day to day. And we can't have a long training plan because then we have a dog who hasn't been physically cared for properly in 8 months. And that's not really a good goal. In some dogs, that might be the best we can get. That's pretty rare. Most dogs are actually pretty good. They're house pets, first of all. So a lot of the zoo behaviors that we see are a little bit different because our dogs are actually snuggling with us up on the sofa. We have a very intimate relationship with dogs. They live inside our houses. They are used to a lot of handling, and it's not too far-fetched to help them relax for what we need them to do. So if they indicate that they're not ready, and we just say, oh, okay, I don't want to stress you out, I think that we're assuming there's a lot more stress than there is, and they're not learning the coping skills. All right, it's okay to put a little bit of stress on a dog. Not harmful stress, but the, hey, let's backtrack, calm down together, let's try again. You need to be able to trust me. You need to be able to trust somebody who's being calm with you and respectful and gentle. Okay, so when dogs are indicating that they're not ready, it's not a refusal. And what I find is that when I calm them down again, many of the dogs who a minute ago weren't ready are ready because we took the time to be together and calm down together. And, we talked about the 3 steps of calm. I wait for a wiggle. I wait for their body to start to loosen. I wait till I'm holding a foot or holding an ear and not having to actually totally hold it. I let go of a thumb and see if they'll continue to stay there. There are a lot of behaviors that we do actually need to hold them for. I think if you took a grinder to a toenail without actually holding the toenail, that's far more uncomfortable than actually pressing on the toenail and diminishing some of the vibration from the grinder. So there are certainly things that we have to hold on for. But if we get them used to, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. We're going to calm down together, and then we're going to proceed, and we're going to try to keep you calm the entire time instead of, I'm going to release you. So when we're talking about all of that stuff, I want you to think about, too, about the posable action figure. We talked about that in the last episode, but my training goal isn't for a dog to give me their paw or to chin target. When I have a dog on a grooming table, I want them to be the posable action figure. I want them to relax and just let me move them into positions. And that's really important, is the relax part. I'm going to allow you to do these things to me. And that's kind of fun. They're okay with it and they get used to it. But keep in mind that not being ready is different than refusing. There are a couple of pretty common owner mistakes that I want to cover with you. One of them I find pretty often is owners who are say, well, he trusts us. Because if he gets stressed or wiggles or growls or something, we let him go right away so that he knows everything's fine. And, I love that idea, the idea that my dog knows I would never, ever hurt him or I would never, ever stress him out. However, that teaches him to wiggle and growl or whatever when he wants us to let him go. Instead,
I want us to be thinking in terms of if a dog is getting stressed, we need to figure out why. Is there a medical reason? Is he sore? But also, an adult owner, should be able to hold on to their dog if he's stressed and calm him down again. We shouldn't be letting go at the very first signs of, I don't want you to. Okay, does that make sense? We don't want him to just think, I don't want you to do that, so I'm going to walk away. I think a lot of us as adults are still following the advice that we heard as kids. Like, oh, he's stressed out, don't do that. Or don't go near him when he's eating, or don't do these things. But if we have a dog that requires a lot of grooming, for instance, a poodle or a poodle mix that really needs an entire body groom, then we really need to be able to touch that dog, even if he's trying to tell us, hey, you know what? I don't like it. I would like him to like it. But the very first step is also teaching that, hey, relax. You're okay. You're fine here with me and you're safe here with me. But that doesn't mean that I let go the moment that you get stressed. Because what I have found over many, many years, as a vet tech, as a groomer, as a trainer, but through many years of working with dogs, the dogs whose owners let them go, as soon as they show any sign of, I don't like that, can often become quite aggressive the first time someone holds on. So they're actually accidentally setting us up to get really hurt because dog gives you a little growl and you don't let go, and the dog's like, what on earth is happening? And they totally overreact. Like, how dare you hold my paw? So we need to have owners thinking in terms of like, hey, we need to do the 3 steps of calm too. Start with calm, maintain calm, and release on calm, and to help them find whatever training help they need, whether that be something that you can guide them through or that they need to go to a trainer through. But it's going to be really important for their dog's safety and for their own safety. Another customer mistake I see pretty often, we know that we need to be in charge, so we yell at him when he's not being good, or we hold him down and we tell him no, and then we let him up. So we can readdress that. We can tell them, hey, I want you to be giving loving, gentle handling and figuring out what he's comfortable with. So another common owner mistake for dogs with eye goo. This one's a really common mistake. Find out what your owners are doing, because what I have found is that some of these dogs with eye goo, and some of it's that their skin is sore right there, but also I ask owners to show me how they take care of it. And you might be surprised that owners are often closing the dog's mouth and pressing down on the dog's nose in such a way that this dog can't breathe. And then they're trying to crush eye boogies into that sore spot on their fur, and right there in the corner of their eye. And so, of course, the dog is having a hard time with it. And that's why a lot of these dogs are better for us than they are with their owners. And they come in with these like nearly closed eyes because the eye goo is so bad. So if we can explain to our owners how to do it gently, we have a much better chance of having them be able to do these things at home without closing their dog's mouth, crushing his nose down, and making it so he can't breathe. And, another one that I hear often, another owner mistake, is we never do things that he doesn't like. Oh, we wouldn't do that. He doesn't like that. Oh, he doesn't like it when we touch his ears, so we just don't. And that's another case of instructions that we heard as children that make a lot of sense for kids. Like, oh, don't hug a dog, all those things. But you need to have an adult owner point of view. So as adults, you should be able to reach around your dog. You should be able to touch a foot. You should be able to walk over next to him if he's on the sofa chewing a toy. You should be able to do those things because you are the adult in the house who now has the responsibility of keeping this dog healthy and happy and safe. So we need to talk to some of our owners about these mistakes that they're making, and that if their dog doesn't let them do stuff, they have a serious problem. Their dog is not going to be able to be handled in an emergency, that they need to talk to a trainer, or they need to find out from their vet if there's something going on, or they need to work with us a little bit more to help their dog understand how to do it. But those are some common owner mistakes, and those are things that owners will live with forever if we don't tell them that there's a way to work on it.
For any of you out there who are looking for some one-on-one help, we have these wonderful devices in our pockets, these phones that we can do live video with each other. I can definitely set up a lesson with you with the dog that you're having trouble with right there on your table and be able to guide you through some of this stuff. Definitely reach out and let me know. I am at Chrissy@happycritters.net. Certainly you can find me through the Creating Great Grooming Dogs Facebook group. And we can definitely set up times to work on these things together, because you might be surprised how much I can do for you live, where we're actually looking at each other, being able to observe what you're seeing, helping guide you, or even showing you on a dog over here on this end of video. So there are ways for us to help each other. There are ways to learn this from a distance.